That should do us.
Yes. Okay, that looks all right.
Doing it live.
Bloop. Okay.
Always got to fix in production, man. Test in production, fix in production. That makes doing anything less almost boring. Where do I have... Oh. There you are. Wait, that's not you.
Yeah.
Alright.
I will not be caught, with my proverbial pants down if an SSD dies just before the show again.
Oh, gosh.
Because now I keep two laptops. With one with an M.2 and one with a SATA SSD that I could just plop here and I have everything I need to do the show. Heck, I can just use this.
Mm-hmm.
For the SATA ones. Like, right? We're doing it off of USB.
Yeah.
USB3.
Yes. I love those.
SATA. There you go, that SSD.
Yeah, Twitch normally takes a second to come back.
And I suppose I need to do something with this phone at some point. That's
Why?
my old Huawei phone. I don't know.
Sell it on eBay.
There you go for like £6.
6 more pounds than you got.
It's like if it was 50, sure, yeah, absolutely.
Do what I do. I have a very interesting strategy. I give stuff to people.
That's the thing. I haven't been, talking to many people.
You're like, Nori,
Neither has
yo,
Nori.
You know anybody that needs a phone? I got one for him.
Does have Lineage installed on it.
Lineage? Is that what it is?
Lineage.
Lineage. I was on. Is that a fork of lineage?
Aw.
Lineage.
Lineage.
It could be. It could be, Pedro.
Lineage.
Fork.
Hey, I think
Lineage.
Amazon's a Fortnite clone released today.
Ah.
Oh, the steampunky looking one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was built with Lumberyard. The Crytek fork they did 5 years ago.
Yeah. I was just thinking, it's like, I guess now we see what people who are developing that engine can do with it.
That's Star Citizen. So apparently it takes a while.
That's the nightmare fuel. That's the worst case scenario. It's Huawei, but people here pronounce it Huawei.
Yeah, that was cute. I knew exactly
Honestly,
what you
I thought
meant.
that was a little too funny to correct them, so I started saying it too.
My favorite one to get in an argument about is Nokia.
Oh, yeah. Nokia, Nokia.
Nokia, like
Nokia.
I've heard some people pronounce Nokia. It's like, so you don't have a Kia. Gotcha. What car do you drive?
You know, I was thinking about this the other day when I was driving home. Kias look like very decent cars except for the logo. I don't like the logo.
Mm.
There's this round
You
that
can
says Kia.
buy the
on it, like,
replacement logo. Or you go on eBay and you find a replacement logo with like something Batman on it.
Hello, not a Q. Welcome back.
All right. So this is up. This is working to the best of its abilities. I have to recompile that for realsies this evening and fix some things, but we have chat. We have notifications.
We do.
Get all of our shots and was trouble having. Oh, I thought you said was trouble having stick. So I'll keep going. Oh, do I just not have that assigned? I guess not. Fuck that.
I think the only time I actually tagoed with NVRAM stuff was to get the extra buttons on the T42 ThinkPad. Because those are not ACPI buttons like most of the keyboards and laptops nowadays. Those require NVRAM to talk between the firmware that's on the little control board on the laptop itself and the operating system. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I've been intelligent enough to just avoid that, so.
Aw. Hello, Kite
But
Linux.
I got
How
him
you
to
doing?
work. Kylinix! You said you were going to invade me on Saturday. I even set
yes.
everything up specifically to let you do that yesterday. But I was also very happy to be able to deliver on the promise to have the Leroy Jenkins reference on stream and get through the
Yay.
catacombs in an hour.
All right, so we're going to go in 3 minutes. So if anybody's got anything to do, good
Okay.
do it.
Yes, I do need to pee. I'll be back.
All right,
Okay.
have fun with that. I'll get something to drink. Have fun, Jill.
Okay. Ah. Hello, Mir. Yeah, Arthur, and true that. Looks like that's the... Rohit was saying also that that was the end of Return to Castle Wolfenstein on Friday. I think we're about halfway through Serious Sam, according to Sandy. I'm not sure if that's correct, but because I had never played through Serious Sam 2. Yes, I do, Artherin. It's ready to show. And you know, it's got a timer on it, so I keep turning it on, and then I use the remote, and it doesn't activate it because you got to turn it on, and I got to turn it on again from the bottom, so it activates. And it's wonderful. And there's a way also to make the power stay on, so it doesn't keep timing out. But it's beautiful. I love it. I can't wait to show it on screen. Yes, it is. It will be. Yeah, I'm going to put it in full RGB mode. Do. Woohoo. Ah. Yeah, not a queue. We're most of the serious games have been released for Linux, so and they said it's supposed to be coming. So I know the pre-order still says Windows only, but that should
A
change.
new power is rising.
No, that's what they know, man. You got to think about it. It's Crow Team. They're like, Linux users aren't going to fall for pre-orders.
Yeah. Yes. Very true, man.
Yeah, we'll just put the Linux logo when we release it. That's fine.
Let me loosen this gate up just a We should be good-ish to go-ish.
Look, everything is sticky today, okay? This t-shirt is the single most annoying thing that I have on right now.
Oh. I decided to get one of my vintage shirts.
You know, if it weren't for the fact that we're on Twitch and Twitch is not kosher with, you know...
Oh, yeah.
Man boobs.
Yeah.
I'd be doing this without a shirt.
Because he's hot. Literally.
All right. Yeah. That's all I'd say.
Yes.
Yes. No, 26 here, and like 70-something% humidity, so yeah, no, it's
Oh, God.
horrible.
And there is that. So I think we're good to go. I'll go ahead and tell you right now, I've not had time to make credits, so...
That's fine. How long do they usually go for? We can fill that time.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean credits aren't available, just for the wrong show.
No. Yes. Okay.
They're out of date.
Well played.
All right. Let's get that paused, and let's get down to that.
Okay, Linux, go ahead and start that rumor.
Yeah. That's the real story, man. We get taken down by big flicks.
Okay, the fan is off, so...
All right. So let's lock the recording. Somebody's camera's a little off, isn't it?
Oh, yours! Okay. I was looking at mine, I was looking at Jill's, like, no, we're in the middle of it.
I know, I wasn't even noticing Vince.
Watch, it's going to be Vince like, oh, I probably bumped it because I was moving something.
Stranger Wings. Linux Skinner. Stranger Things. Yeah. Stranger Things credits. Stranger Wings. Stranger Wingdings.
We'll create our own parody show and we'll call it Known Stuff.
We're just gonna live with it.
It works, Finn.
Really?
Bad timing.
And welcome back to Linux Weekly Daily Wednesdays, where we can sit back, relax,
Hello.
take that midweek break, talk about some of the fun things we found going on in the world of Linux. I'm Vince Stone, that is Joe Bryant, and that is Pedro Mateus, and everyone at home, man, taking that midweek break with us.
Yay!
What's going on, people? We've been doing a lot in the pre-show. If you're watching live, it's like, let's rebuild OBS live while we're doing that and all that fun stuff, man. It's been interesting. It's been interesting over here. I hope everyone's having at least a very interesting, if not good, week. I know I'm still on this journey to get the Black Magic Quad playing just right with our system. I have kind of set up like a Game of Cards, House of Thrones type situation within Black Magic. And I'm like, we're going to see.
That's what you were going for.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, those of you who might listen to our pre super shows and pay attention to it.
I don't. Hi.
You're just done, man. I mean, come on, I know those shows. I've gotten a hold to a developer, so we're talking back and forth because I genuinely believe that they've never tested this under Linux. It's just a boom, okay. It's supposed to work, so he's like, yo, I'm going to test it with an 8K. We're on lockdown. All I have is an 8K. And I'm like, oh, it's going to eat tremendous amounts of poo with an 8K. This was like 3 days ago. We were talking back and forth, exchanging until I got that last email. And then we're like 3 or 4 days away. I'm like, yeah, you tried it, didn't you? It didn't work, did it? So we're keeping track of that. I hope it's software. I hope it's a driver issue. And I hope I don't end up having to RMA it. But this is also, we can do some more stuff. And I'll be glad when all that's sorted. And unfortunately, like option 2, like Magewell makes a quad, but it's like $900, man. That's not in our budget right now. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Stay tuned. What's up with you, Joe?
Yeah, so I had a fun time once again on Linux Unplugged over at Jupiter Broadcasting yesterday. And also had fun chatting in the Destination Linux Patreon-only chat on Saturday. That was really great. And some of the most fun last night, watching our very own Ven in an interview on Linux Spotlight with Rocco. Yay! Ven finally did it.
You know, from what I heard of Ven, is like, oh, I needed an excuse to test something.
Yep.
Yeah.
This was available.
Oh, so everyone out there go and watch it and have a good time.
It was this thing. What's new with you, Pedro?
It's warm, which is, I guess, is new because this is the UK. It's never warm, and if it is, it's raining. But today it isn't. It was sunny. It was still stupidly humid because it is still the UK, but it was very, very warm. And yeah, no, outside of that, I guess it's getting boring again because now that people have started to realize that, oh, this working from home thing, we can do this. This is convenient. So the tickets to the Surface Desk have come down a little bit, which is nice.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
let's get into some interesting news. Starting off,
Yes.
Yeah.
PeerTube content bootstrap fun, sourcehunt.org. So they got an idea, man. They're going to be committing $5,000 to bootstrap content for the PeerTube network. If you're unfamiliar with that, it has set itself to be hopefully something that will be an alternative to YouTube. Couple of conditions for this, man. You must not already be a regularly publishing content on another platform, anything like that. You can only upload videos to PeerTube, so it's kind of like lock-in. And they have to be Creative Commons, CC BY NC SA. All right, that's fair enough. And they expect you to make at least 5 videos. You decide creation isn't after that, we'll take the equipment back. And you'll be off the hook once you start earning at least $20 a month on LibrePay. We'll split the ongoing cost of hosting. That's just another thing. That's the issue we ran into with PeerTube. I'm like, I'm happy to post the videos there, but I'm not paying. I already pay for hosting. If you want to download our videos, you can download it directly from us. So, I like the idea. I do. But I do believe that they're going about this completely wrong. Because if you want to help out people, if you do, who've already taken like the initiative, shown the initiative that I'm going to do this and I'm trying, that, what do they say? The 99% inspiration, 1% perspiration. When somebody comes to, hey, Ben, I have an idea. And I'm like, I have more ideas than I have time to do. That's easy. Ideas are easy. It's doing it, sticking with it, and trying to make something 10 years later. Hi. And you're doing that. Now, I'm not talking about us. We're way outside of the scope of this project. But the system that they're kind of setting up, man, is like give some people some money to see if they want to do something. Then they're going to have the logistics nightmare of, oh, well, we want the stuff back. Good luck.
No, that's not going to fly.
No.
I don't know, man. I just think like 99% of the people who start something like this or would be interested in this and they really want to do it, they'll end up like, hey, this is a lot. And I'm just being honest. It's a lot of work. And that might not be in their schedule.
Yeah. And, like Ven says, this sounds great, out of the box, but drawing existing creators from the likes of YouTube who are already creating content actually would be a better option. And, PeerTube has been actually working on the ability to stream live content, which is really awesome, with integration in OBS. Once they do this, I think a lot more people would use the platform because that's one of the major things, I think, preventing people from using it. And, this would be the first decentralized option for going live other than, Twitch and YouTube and some of the other more proprietary platforms.
Mm.
And, there is another decentralized video content service that has actually become very popular, which is Library. And
I've seen Library plugged a lot by people who are on it, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everyone's come check out my library, and that's it. Just them.
I'm finding a lot of the Linux YouTubers are putting their content on Library, including Rocco.
Wish them the best of luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I hope it takes off.
Yeah, me too, because this, I really want it to take off, just like Mastodon. I love it. I love
We're
these
still
services.
waiting on Mastodon, so I hope it takes off a lot better than...
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on there and I never go there.
We have our own Mastodon instance. And,
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks, Civic.
I send my tweets to Mastodon.
I don't know, man. It's an interesting proposition. I mean, if you're going to bootstrap something like that, good luck with it. And I just wanted to put that out there and let everyone know. If it's something you're interested in, you're like, I'm going to prove you wrong. Good. I love being proven wrong.
Yeah.
Get you some coin, get you some equipment, and be the next rock star. That'd be brilliant. But
Awesome.
we can't go a week without Pedro saying something about his favorite distribution. Well, it is a distribution effectively now.
It is.
Yeah.
Mostly thanks to Ubuntu's decision and their disagreement. Right. No, that is right. No, it's slightly off.
Yeah.
There's a bit missing there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, KDE Plasma 5.19 is now in beta, and the final release will be coming on June 9th. And yeah, it is basically if you're running the dev branch in KDE Neon, you're a far braver person than I am. But yeah, you can give it a go. For those of us over here in, the user ISO, we'll wait. But 9to5 Linux actually has a bit of a quote from the developers, and they say, in this release, we have prioritized making Plasma more consistent, correcting and unifying designs of widgets and desktop elements, worked on giving you more control over your desktop by adding configuration options to the system settings, and improved usability. That's been due for about 19 major releases now, so what? It's good that they're doing something, but that needed to be a bit of a priority earlier on. Not now.
Yeah.
Unify. Are you really a stickler about that? Just everything needs to look, because that
no,
is just being
I'm talking about the improved usability.
Yeah.
Why are you using something that's not usable?
It is usable.
Aww.
If you disable the compositing and you use Compton instead.
Well, I mean, that's XFCE.
Yes.
So
yeah, KD is very much on that same boat now.
Coming up on a decade later, Compton's like, rating, chap. Still got it.
Yep.
But I've kind of changed my mind on them a little bit because now I don't even run a compositor. I just run a forceful composition pipeline with my NVIDIA card. I'm done.
Yeah.
If
it weren't for the fact, yeah, and I would do that with KDE if it weren't for the fact that it is expecting some compositing ability happening at the X level, not at the driver level. So, yeah, no, some things just outright don't work or freeze or smear. You know, remember the Windows dragging the error box across the screen and it's smearing itself? Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's why I use Compton.
Yeah.
Well, what do we have from Tuxedo?
Ooh, Tuxedo Computers dropped this on Twitter earlier this week. And hard shell, many cores. And they do promise desktop performance on the go with an AMD Ryzen 3000
I'm going to give them credit.
desktop
That looks like
CPU.
a real product and not a 3D render.
Yeah,
That is a real product. You can buy it right now. And yeah, no, it's the Tuxedo Book XA15. It's a 15 point, it's not standard ish sized for a 15.6 inch laptop. You can tell it's a chunky boy. And that is because it supports AMD Ryzen 3000 desktop CPUs.
Yes.
And the motherboard that's in it is an actual B450 chipset board. And, you know, because I very much liked what I saw, I went to the thing and I built myself a version. It's like, okay, 3950X, 16 gigs of DDR4, 500 gigabyte NVMe, and a 2070. Because that's up to what you can get. You can get the 2060 and the 2070. And that's 2.5 or 2,500 euros, which is pricey. Don't get me wrong, that is pricey. But I spec'd out an actual desktop machine, and as soon as I put in the 2560 by 1440, 144 hertz, like the panel on the XA15 book, it's like, oh, that's 2,100 euros. That's not far off, which is very good.
2,100 euros for a high-end laptop is not much.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
And I know you, I'm assuming you get to
I like laptops.
144 hertz screen. Like, oh, it's going to be so great.
Oh,
Yeah.
if I had the money, I would have bought it right then and there, but I don't, so.
Yeah, it's. God, I mean, I'd like to use this to replace my Asus Republic of Gamers. It's such a sweet looking laptop, and actually kind of compact for all the power it has. And being able to upgrade your Ryzen 3000 CPU because it is not soldered on, because it is a desktop CPU, is wonderful because you can upgrade it, and it's really a nice touch. Really awesome.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first things that really stuck out to me. And I would use this laptop for rendering as well as playing games because it's really great for both. I did find it interesting that they chose not to use NVIDIA Optimus on it with the AMD GPU and the NVIDIA GPU, given that today's Linux utilizes Optimus so well now. But I understand it. I mean, they would get more battery life, but I understand why, because you get the full power out of the NVIDIA GPU. So.
Optimus doesn't work well at all on Linux. The only effective way to do it still is to use the NVIDIA drivers implementation, which is god-awful and incomplete, which they call Prime.
You know, come on, give them credit. At least last year they attempted to do something.
Yeah.
They tried.
Yeah.
But let's just say that there's a reason that Ven's poster there with Linus telling NVIDIA to do something to themselves.
It says luck you. Just because it's obscured. It says luck you. He's wishing them luck.
Hack. But yeah, no, let's just say that there's still very much a reason that is still valid, because Prime is not a very good implementation, and most of the like switchable graphics implementations that we have right now still either have the NVIDIA GPU on all the time just in a low power state, but it's still running all the time, or you turn it off and you need to basically log out of the session to reload X to get it back.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
for the money,
that's not good.
it's good to see an AMD option
Mm-hmm.
for a Linux laptop.
No, that is
Yeah.
a very nice, very high performance Ryzen Linux laptop.
Kind
Yeah.
of brilliant. Just keep it plugged in.
Yeah.
Something that's going to
Yes.
have a bit of battery life, though.
Yay! So the much anticipated Pine 64 Pine Tab, $99 tablet, is almost here. Yay! Pine 64 is now taking pre-orders later this month for limited quantities aimed at early adopters, much like what they did with their Braveheart Pine phones in April. And the Pine Tab will ship with Ubuntu Touch from UB ports, just like the Pine phone. And but you'll be able to run other Linux distros in the future. And I really have been wanting this. I thought it would be a great device to use for doing show notes, because it comes. What's really awesome is you can get a $20 magnetic backlit keyboard that snaps onto it, and that would be a perfect companion. So it's pretty sweet.
I'm kind of down with this, man. They do make a point like, hey, it's really going to happen this time. No more false starts.
Yeah.
They're going to be doing the pre-orders later this month. That's the thing. It's going to be a limited run. So if you're looking to pick one up, this is time to do it. And it's a pilot production run, so you know what's involved in that. The 10-inch 720p IPS LCD panel. I don't want it right there, because 720p on 2020 on a tablet, 10-inch tablet, that's a non-starter. Make it $150 and get a decent resolution. But it does have a quad-core A64 SoC, 2 gigs of RAM, which is decent. Same thing as in the Pine phone. It does feature the same 2-megapixel front-facing and 5 rear. That's on the phone. 64 gigs of internal storage. Is it worth $100?
It's $100.
Yeah.
For $100, I can buy a 1080p IPS Android tablet all day long. All day.
Yes, Android. That's probably sending everything you do on it back to China.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This one will run all the Linux distros.
Yeah, that
All of them.
again, it's the advantage of having an idea of what the hardware is doing, because Pine has actually been pretty good with that, and it's running Linux. You could load Android on it, I suppose.
Well, you could always realize
Yeah.
that you're also going to be using this with a stylus.
Yeah.
You see, the big difference between the two devices, on one of them, I could get stuff done. The other one, I can play with.
Yes, this is what these first runs of things are for, is for people to play with.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's great. I'm just saying I wish it had a better screen.
Yeah.
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 It's only 720p.
It's only 720p. I mean, a couple of years ago, 720. How long has it been since you've seen 720p? Maybe 10 inches. That's rough, man.
No. Yeah,
And I
no.
say that as somebody I've been buying tablets since the first time they came out with something that wasn't Apple. And I bought off brands, I bought Arcos, everything. I have 720p 10-inch
Yeah.
tablets. Whew. It's like, okay, I remember these days. But hey, maybe there'll be something
Yes,
later
for
on.
gaming, 720p, absolutely Linux Nuru. The Switch is 720p. But yeah, this is a productivity thing, because that SoC isn't particularly powerful, especially the GPU bit.
I'm going to say
Yeah.
for right now, the people who are going to pick one of these up know what they're getting. That's awesome. 100% behind that. And it's a device to help provide feedback. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep that in
Exactly.
mind.
And
Cool.
at the bottom of the article, they mention a couple of other things about the Pinebook Pro. Namely, that the Manjaro image, if you load that up into the Pinebook Pro, they now offer a Docker container with 32-bit Chromium, that's i386 Chromium, which can play Netflix and Prime. That's very good.
Yay!
That's
Awesome.
very good. Wide functionality on the Pine Pro. That's very nice.
New release of Enlightenment.
Yeah, this is one of my
been a while.
favorites. Yeah, so yes, this is one of my favorite, lightweight, and one of the most beautiful window managers. Just got a major update. Enlightenment 24 has just been released and boots even faster. There is a new external monitor, backlight, and brightness controls. Yay, bringing it up to modern times. And the wallpaper import generates multiple resolutions for better efficiency when setting wallpapers. And a new and improved shot module that includes editor and cropper. And overall, there's just lots of bug fixes, UI polish, and faster startup times. And, I've been using Enlightenment for many years to play multi-monitor gaming spanning 3 monitors because it has many window controls, including save states for window positions for multiple monitors. And that's very important, so you don't have to futz with that. And in fact, what the other awesome thing is this release has better support for playing games on Steam. So I'm looking forward to testing that out.
As in, the games no longer actively crash when you try to launch them.
This is the only problem I've had with Enlightenment. And I dip my beak into Enlightenment at least once or twice a year. It's not stable. It's not. I mean, people,
it does have
if you're
issues.
like, it is, I'm like, you haven't used it hard enough then.
Yeah.
You haven't actually tried to use it, as you would.
Okay, in all fairness, if you just let it boot to desktop, you're like, that's fine. Yeah, all right.
It looks pretty. Okay, time to log out and log into a proper sub environment.
I've always been a fan of the look and the aesthetics of it. I mean, it's held on to the 90s very tightly.
Actually, speaking of, just to be contradictory, I like the new flat team. Because they have that screenshot on the article. It's like, oh, that doesn't look like it was made in 1999.
Come on, don't tell me you don't want the default material design Nixie tube clock.
Oh,
the fake 3D with the buttons that you hit on them, and you can feel the mush as you click on it. It's like, how do you do that?
It's like an OS X interface from the wrong side of the tracks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with each release, they've really fixed a lot of the issues. So every year, it is improving better and better. So
Good
I did
times.
try looking. That's what I go to distro watch for nowadays. It's like, okay, I need a distro that has version 24 of Enlightenment. It's like, oh, PC Linux OS and Gen 2. Oh wait.
Well, if I have it loaded up, which I might, we don't get to do this too often, but we have a Microsoft Loves Linux segment.
Oh boy.
We do. Kind of
Okay,
surprising.
so this one's pretty big.
Yeah, this is huge.
So DirectX Arts Linux. And before you go, wait, what? DirectX is coming to the Windows subsystem for Linux. And what they're doing is they're creating sort of a virtual GPU inside WSL that allows the WSL to use the DirectX layer that Windows already has implemented. So this isn't, giving full DirectX 12 functionality on Linux yet. But I very much look forward to that being the case. The way that they did it, it's basically the same way that many other virtual GPUs are currently implemented. It exposes the DXG device in dev DXG, as you would expect, and so the Mesa drivers can pick up on it and use that because they say, ooh, that can do 3D acceleration, so I can use that. And then it basically gives the Linux kernel in WSL the ability to, have DirectX access. And there was one little line in the article, just like, because I started reading, it's like, oh, okay, so it's just a way to virtualize the GPU in the WSL. All right, fine. But then I read, these binaries are compatible with glibc-based distros. Like, all right, put it in my face, like, now.
Yeah.
Because, they go on to say that, and technically, any distro could make use of this if the driver that you have could expose that level of functionality on your machine. Say you have an NVIDIA GPU, you know that it can do DirectX 12. It's just the Linux drivers for the NVIDIA cards would need to say, oh, this thing can do DirectX 12, so there you go.
Well, it's not just DX12 we're looking at. It's also going to be able to handle Vulkan, and you're going to be able to deal with CUDA.
Yes.
Which is also important.
Yay.
This is a very interesting development. This is one of those curious things. Now, I understand, Pedro, after they've released some of the patents on FAT32, Microsoft's your new favorite company. They can do no wrong. But
XFAT, but close enough.
Typical Microsoft fanboy. That's what I expect. I apologize for not having such intimate knowledge of the Microsoft. Now, check it out, man. Imagine how easy it'd be to get Windows integration in Linux if some of this nonsense was open sourced on Microsoft's side.
Yeah.
Like, because you can go, Microsoft, look at what we did. It's like, yeah, all you had to do was do it. I mean, the instructions got it right there, man. Yay.
But yeah, no, I do hope that even if they don't do it, I hope that the community picks this up and goes, let's improve wine. Let's make wine actually work properly.
The Linux integration, plus the other thing yesterday, did you see that they're getting a command line package management system?
Yes.
It's like they are coming
Winget install.
and screaming into like 1996 on that Windows. Pretty tight, pretty decent.
I really wanted, that was the point that I wish I knew Monster Cameron personally, because that would have been the point that I'd pick up the phone. It's like, so, remember what you said about, software management on Linux versus Windows? Yeah.
No, Pedro. You would have to use a terminal to use that, therefore you'd have to be a hacker.
Oh my god.
Is there anything sadder than somebody with a Windows terminal open? Like, pat him on the head. Feel bad for him. Buy him some cocoa.
You know that if they've gotten to that point, they are serious about trying to fake something.
They are. Yeah. And they look back with the deadness of somebody who's stuck in a job. Like, hey, man.
Yeah.
With a slight point of like, take me out. It'll be great.
Well, there's no more need anymore to use VMware to run Linux with GPU acceleration. Oh boy.
Well, maybe that'll help some of the game ports we get.
Yes.
Yeah. That was what I was mentioning yesterday on Discord. It's like, okay, so after the community is done with this, what's going to be the excuse?
Still got to go down to the Linux store and buy that computer to run.
Oh, no, it's just middleware. It's always going to be middleware.
Oh, man, yeah. Okay. One extra bit of Redmond news, though. But it's good news. The flip has flopped. Unit, we've talked about this on-again, off-again relationship with Microsoft. Back to open source is the latest sign of Germany's political sea change over proprietary software. This is from ZDNet. All this is going to be in our show notes. But, yeah, let's see. What does the quote say? Where it is technology and financially possible, the city will put emphasis on open standards and free open source licensed software. A new coalition agreement negotiated between. So wasn't this like Microsoft coming back and like, yo, man, come on. We'll get you some sweet deals. Then like the new intern government. It's like, yeah, that sounds good. Somebody's going to get some money. The agreement was finalized Sunday. The parties will be empowered 2026. Yay. I don't know, man. Personally, I genuinely believe like any government product system that should be forced to use open source software, completely transparent.
Yeah.
High
Especially
NHS.
if it's a government thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. this is like the third time we've covered this. I'm like, just make up your mind, man.
Yeah. Well, it looks like hopefully this time open source and Linux will actually stick when the Microsoft contracts expire. And that's a really, really awesome thing. And it seems that Germany has learned many lessons. And this time they will roll out Linux correctly and transition correctly this time. Let's hope.
You got to keep in mind that the migration back to Microsoft was going to be like estimated like 86.1 million euros. And that's still in progress. And this is after they did all the initial work to get over to Linux. I mean, this was we were reading way back in the Slashdot days, man.
Yeah, and they said that government that made the change to Linux, it's like, oh yeah, 5 years after we made the change, we're already not incurring any costs compared to when they had to pay for the Microsoft licenses, because at that point they were almost self-sufficient. Unfortunately, a lot of people stuck with Windows because, you know, it's a municipal government, so it's not going to be completely unified. Everyone kind of does what they want. So there were a lot of systems that were running both because they needed both Windows and Linux because they needed that compatibility. And, you know, political and financial maneuvering were the reason that they went back to Microsoft in 2017. Political and financial movement are going to be the reasons that they're going to change back. And some people are saying they're only doing this because they want a better deal from Microsoft. It's like, all right, probably,
you know what? I'm going to say this, Munich, brothers and sisters from Deutschland. Just see if you can find like the corpse of SCO and see if you can use that and just make everyone angry.
Yeah.
Xandros. Just force Xandros on everyone.
Terrible stuff. Hey, everyone. If you like what we do, you want to support what we do, you can do that. LinuxTeamcast.com. There's a support button. We got a bunch of stuff. Patreon, LibrePay, merch, PayPal. We got Wishlist and what? Oh, Bitcoin. That's still a thing. I hear the kids are still using that. We got some t-shirts. They're kind of neat. We got the Hell Hogs. We got the faces, Weekly Daily Wednesdays. We got mugs, chairs, stickers, and hoodies just in time for summer. Best way to...
It might be now that I buy one just to be a contrarian.
I'm just saying, man. Best way to support us through Patreon. We've been on that for years. That really helps us out. We got a bunch of levels. You get rewards back. We like to dance for our dinner, and we want to thank each 104 of you helping make this show's a Patreon goal, and we hit it, and we keep on running about it. So that's brilliant. Come say hi in our Discord. If you join us on Patreon, you get access to our show notes. If you like what we do an extra hour of content just for the people who are making all this possible. You get a custom RSS feed and some early access to stuff up to and including later this afternoon. I'll be posting if you're into like all the audio stuff I do a series just on the side to try to help people out called Interfacing Linux. This is where I'm picking up audio interfaces and seeing whether or not they explode when you plug them into a Penguin. So I have a new one of those out for the interface that we currently use to do everything here in the studio, which turned out a lot better than I expected. So keep the lookout for that. If you want to end up on this wall, it'll show up in videos. If you get anything for the studio, that's where you end up. But fair warning, everything there is stupid expensive at this point because I bought all the cheap stuff. I think. Yeah. So too bad, so sad. Now, let's get into a slice of
We still have some plugs to do.
Oh, well.
Yes, we do. We actually have a couple of Patreon shifts and new Patreons. Ooh.
Patreon shifts.
So, and Foxdog is back as executive producer. He wasn't gone very long as executive producer, but he's back. Yay! And we have a new one, Lucid Links, and I actually know who that is. He's awesome. And Eldius is back. So
no, Eldius never left anywhere. There's nothing next to Eldius. See, that's where assumption gets people in trouble.
Well, no, but I looked for him in our Discord, and I didn't find his name.
And you assumed he wasn't a patron.
No.
That's what you just said.
I didn't. No,
This could go on forever and so just be like, yeah, okay, I made an assumption.
Maybe he gifted another game. I don't know.
Aldi sent me a copy of Elder Scrolls Skyrim.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought so. Game.
The fancy smancy special edition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. He was like, I'm going to give this to you because I know you have no time to play it whatsoever. I'm like, thanks, bro.
Aw, Aldius is so
True
awesome.
story.
He's gifted us all games many times.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Him and Arthur.
Yeah, and speaking of Theron, who provided a lot of our show topics today, he spoiled me and gifted me this cute RGB penguin, which I'm sure Ven is not a fan of because it's bling bling. Can't see that it's changing lots of colors right now.
Oh no, it's doing a number on your camera. We can see that.
It's bright. I can actually turn down the brightness.
Yep, it's got that remote that every single bit of RGB.
It's
Strength
great
nowadays
in
do.
most of them. Yeah, on the camera, it comes across as a ghost. So
Yeah, it does. It does.
Ooh, spoopy.
Actually, yeah, this remote is a little better than average. It actually has a timer function on it, which is really nice. So he gifted me this for my birthday.
so I closed the wrong window.
Uh-oh. Aw.
You refreshed the window, didn't you, Jill?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I did on accident when I reached over. Oh no. Okay. So anyways, happy birthday, Jill Hart. This might arrive a little bit late, but I found out why I couldn't buy anything. In any case, I hope you will put this lovely boy on a camera from Artheron, and it's going to go right behind me, Artheron, in a special spot over by my penguins. And, he already gifted me a gift last week, Steam game Hack Night, which is really awesome. So he's just been spoiling me. I love you, Artheron.
All right, close your browser, open it back up. You jacked up your audio.
Yeah, it needs all of those extra flags.
Okay.
Oh, Artheron. Ah.
Okay. Oh man. Yeah, I think
There we
I
go.
hit it. I hit the keyboard.
In 3, 2. All right, coming up next into a slice of pie, we got a little bit we got to run through. This is from streampie.com though, so what's it
Yeah.
about?
So Stream Pie is a robust, excuse me, robust
Show
open,
title.
yeah, robust open source alternative to the Elgato Stream Deck, built for the but this is one's built for the Raspberry Pi and runs on Windows, Mac, Linux, and Android, and it can detect all of your OBS scenes, sources, and transitions, and you can control them all. And it doesn't require you to set up hotkeys, which is really awesome. And it makes it a lot easier for integration. And it's also integrated with Twitter, so you can hit a button and do a tweet while you're on Twitch or
Somebody buy
YouTube.
this man a tripod, please.
Yeah,
He does start using it at one point, just not
Yes.
for the beginning of the video.
yeah, just not the beginning because he's moving around his studio. It's still a work in progress, but the cost of a Raspberry Pi and an official 7-inch touchscreen, you can make your own Elgato Stream Deck at a fraction of the price. And
Yeah, it's half the price.
It's half the price, literally.
It's literally half the price, and you can have
Here's my
just as
stream
many
deck.
buttons as Ven does. Yeah, right there.
Yeah. So
You know-
that's the other option. You can use the one that Ven did, the software that he uses.
Yeah, well, this has the added advantage of not needing a Raspberry Pi for curious reasons.
Yeah.
This will just run on anything with a web browser. Period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah.
what it's running anyway. I guess it's just to have a dedicated device that
Yeah.
you
It's
don't
really
use
nice.
for anything else.
And a dedicated device for doing video editing is really nice. Used to use one back in the day when I was doing lots of video editing. And this is just really, really cool. I thought it was a really nice alternative to the device. It cost $149, I believe, on Amazon for the Elgato. So this is a much cheaper alternative, and it's cheaper than their proprietary software that they have for the phone, Android phones as well.
Yeah, no, I saw you, Salty. I saw what you did.
Salty.
So if that's something you're interested in, go take a look at it. If you get an extra Raspberry Pi that you're like, I need that to use power in the house.
To be fair, it's like 5 watts at most. So
yeah, doesn't take up much.
You gotta clock it right, man.
Yes, you can overclock it and make it use 15.
Yeah. All right. Something that would use considerably more power, allegedly, is the NX series. No, this isn't the best Star Trek. We're talking about the NX developer kit. This is the Jensen, the new hotness. Xavier, or just Xavier. Latest module. It's got, let's see, what's in the new one? It's 4.6 channel, 1.4 gigahertz, and 2x and 8 gigs. So that's like the big thing, dude.
384 Volta CUDA cores.
Yeah, man. So you can do it. Look at this.
Nice.
It's got a sewing machine fan on the top. That's
yes.
What do we have? It looks to be an HDMI, possibly. Is that a display port above that? Maybe? Question mark. We got one Ethernet jack, 4 USB, barrel plug, $399 though. So this thing better do some stuff. I don't know, man.
I mean, these are the Xavier NXs. You get 2 versions. You get the 15-watt version, the 10-watt version. But yeah, they're think of them like the mid-range, because you have the Jetson Nano, which is like 150 or between 100 and 150, and then you have the AGX Xavier, which is $1,000.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's
Then if you get something like this, which I was surprised because I really looked into like the Jetson Nano, and I was like, what you can get away with doing. You're dealing with the ecosystem. If you want something that's going to have a program for everything, just kind of works out of the box, that's your Raspberry Pi. Yeah. But when you start, the ecosystem for the NVIDIA side, pretty decent these days. So I'm saying yes, maybe not yes for $300 for something to play around with, but if you do, you can do more than AI research on a budget. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, definitely.
There are desktops that you can play around with and be like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, no, it is very interesting, but the only use case I would have for it was literally to play around with it. So I'm not, I can't even afford to spend $199 on the Pinebook Pro. So yeah, no, I can't spend $399 on a Jetson. Sorry.
I might get a response from next week, but the embedded Ryzen with the Vega graphics, that little tiny board that doesn't have I went through the trouble of filling out their contact form to see if I can get a quote for a single piece.
Oh, okay.
See how eye bleeding that's going to be. What do you think? For a quantity of one. This is something they're like, yeah, what are you talking about? Quantity of 1,000 maybe? I'm like, why?
I just want one. I want a sample. Send me a sample.
Yeah.
I might have thrown for review, but I'll cut them a check. It'd be something to play with. But I'm scared that check's gonna be like, you know what? We'll give you a special deal, $1,400.
I don't think it's that expensive. I think just the baseboard with some connectivity and the SoC in it, it's probably going to be like $150 to $200 ish.
I'm willing to bet a one-off's probably going to be minimum $500.
Yeah, $500-$600.
That's
Maybe you know exactly how much it costs and want to tell us, man.
You can tell us, yes. You can basically invoice us right now. You probably know our email addresses too. But if you don't, you can go to linuxgamecast.com, you hit the contact button, make sure you pick LWDW as the show that you want to send your feedback to, and we will talk to you, at you, and about you right here, right now. For a moment there, I got a bit lost in what I was going to say, so I had to make up something on the fly. I don't apologize.
Words!
It's about 350.
It was about that time I realized that SOC was 16 stories tall with glowing red eyes. Pedro, you install weird, bizarre kernels that other people make and talk to me about, like Android tablets sending data back. So take this one.
Yes, because I did have a look at the sauce, because, Matthew is asking about the Licorix kernel. I came across the Licorix kernel and am wondering what you guys know of it and what your thoughts about it are. Ow. My thoughts right now are pain. My experience with the Licorix kernel, probably not going to be your case, but that was my experience with it. Worked fine. If you have a laptop with just a one SSD in it, it's fine. The moment you started throwing multiple SSDs at it, and let's say you have the audacity to run fstrim to try and clear out the empty space to get those cells back so you can use that SSD for a bit longer, it has issues like freezing my whole box at one point. It's like, okay, we're done with the Licorix kernel now. So yeah, no, that was my experience with it. That's why I stopped using it. But if you only have the one, I actually have one of the laptops it's still using.
But it's got the interactive tuning, Pedro, so I can go like 11 fast on my game.
Yeah, it's good for games and multimedia.
You might, run benchmark before you change to the Licorix kernel, and then run another benchmark afterwards. And, an actual game benchmark, just start up like Dirt Rally. It's pretty good for CPU. Give it a try.
All right, it's going to take a minute. Give me a second.
Compile that kernel.
But yeah, no, it had significant issues when I last used it, so that's why I went away. But maybe you'll have a better experience. I don't know.
What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I've actually never used it, but I know it's supposed to be better for multimedia and doing video editing and whatnot, that it's got some enhancements for that in the gaming mode. Although you can, use Feral Interactive's game mode now and, change to DRI3. That helps. I'd be curious if your FPS is any faster than actually.
That's default in 2004. It's DRI3.
Yeah.
I build my own kernels, so it's very difficult to hear either of you from the top of this tower.
Hipster! That was me shouting up at the tower.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was kind of neat. You can do it again if you want. Tickled. You know what? Your basic stuff, you're not going to notice when you're thinking like, oh, I'm going to do some audio stuff, and you're thinking about you're going to do it in Audacity. Don't bother. Audacity, you're not going to notice any difference and stuff like that. We're talking about real time, preemptive stuff. With gaming, it's going to be, you're probably going to end up with more headaches than you would with your regular kernel. This is not some magic stuff. Your stock kernel, just desktop kernel, it's going to run just fine. Now, if you're looking for something to do, go for it.
Oh yeah, it'll be an experience. Just don't do it on the computer that you need to work.
No, do it on the only computer that you have. That way you will learn. You will learn to fix it.
At that point, you might as well install Arch.
No. You see, there's a strategy there, Pedro. Once you get a system set up to the point and you're a normal human being who never backs up anything, then you really need to get it fixed because you don't want to spend a long time getting it set up. Then later on in life, you learn to just take snapshot images.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you just torch stuff to the
Yeah.
ground to watch it burn sometimes. You're like, let's see what this does.
Yeah, that broke. All right.
Make some tea. I'll be back. All right, beautiful people. We look forward to your feedback next week, but we're going to roll the incorrect credits and get out of here.
Yay! Wrong credits.
Yay!
Maybe. Yeah.
Yay!
Hey, credit. Still get
It's
credit.
sugary.
It's a sugary quagmire.
Aww.
Oh, you weren't kidding about the wrong credits. Okay.
What, did you think this was like, oh, I had this third show I hadn't told you about?
I thought it might have just been last week's. I don't know.
No, they get overwritten. It's the same credit file that just renders out.
Oh, okay. All
So
right.
I don't
All
have
right.
to have multiple sources loaded in OBS to help save those few bytes.
All right.
Yeah. I want
Thanks
to thank our
again,
executive
Foxy.
producers, our advisor, Haplo, but we have our Theron Empty, Atomic Ass, Mike G. Barbrant, Amadeus, Matt Geek, Scott, Frostclaw, Drummer 7, Lutras,
Libra
Crest, dash,
Horse,
You missed the
producers,
last
horse.
18 dashes.
23 dashes. Can't you see? Are your eyes broke?
Dirty Dean, Massavoni, Kai Linux Cast, Colin, Ryan, Linux Noob, System T, Douglas, Thomas, Mr. Amish, Jupiter Broadcasting.
Oh, Jill and Steve. There we
Yeah,
go.
there we go. It's been on there for years.
Das Geek. Dodger. In Oxford Coma. Not comma.
Yes,
Hey,
Coma.
coma.
We'll see you next week.
Aw, bye everyone. Love you.
See you, Salty, and thanks for gifting Kyle Linux that song.
All right. So we made it through that. Yeah. Okay. So synchronous. Start your Jack 2 Jack 2 instance using NetJack 1 protocol to NetJack 1 in a synchronous mode in real time with a priority of at least 70. It seems to have held.
I understood some of those words.
Yeah, you did.
I suppose I know what a jack is. And I understand what a process priority is, but that's about where that stops.
Nope, it won't let me. Ah, come on. Chrome, let me view a text file inside Chrome. You know. I know it's a text file. You don't. I'm not an audio wizard. Not in the slightest, but...
That's the thing about Windows. There are a couple of teams that like to swap JSON files or JSON files between like themselves, and if they leave the extension as .json, then Windows goes, no, you can't download that file because it's extremely locked down, and you can't run it, you can't open it, can't do anything with it. You add a .txt at the end, it's like, no, that's fine.
You see, that... this is how we start everything up. There's your command, Pedro. Jack D, which is starting Jack as a daemon.
Yep.
The S is the new hotness, which is synchronous. Versus you have
Oh,
two
okay,
modes.
so not silent. Okay.
Now, you can run an asynchronous process graph or synchronous process graph. So we're doing synchronous to thread from Threadbooper to Jackbox. These two clients are asynchronous for buffer savings. And, it's starting in real time with a priority of 7. Driver is D, net 1. Which extra confusingly is only called net 1 when you're using jack 1 with jack 2 on jack 1 with jack 1. It's just called net. Reasons.
Oh, that actually made sense in my head. God damn.
Oh, man. And Cadence Pulse 2 Jack is the Jack Pulse Audio Bridge. So that's got to kill the current instance of Pulse Audio. It's going to bring that up, and it's going to load the Pulse Audio Module Jack instances, then leave that open, or that's what you see your PAC TL, that's your load modules, and that's the extra syncs that I have to convert the ports that are available over the network from Jackbox into Pulse Audio syncs and sources in order to interface with OBS, VLC, Discord, and the like. Easy as that.
Yeah, no, the module loading and sync creation and Pulse Audio is something that I'm not going to say familiar with, but I'm acquainted.
Oh yeah, NetJack does.
Yeah.
Look through like a NetJack 2 walkthrough. There's a guide. And all of our audio is over the net. Maybe it's jack, it's byte perfect, it's lossless, and our sample is 32-bit float, so it never gets resampled. Until it goes out to Twitch. I mean, you guys get 48K, 128-bit, not 120, 128K, 48K sample at whatever the default is for that setting. One.
Ball don't lie.
Hmm?
BDL.
Oh.
It's actually BDLL.
What was the oh yeah, Linux Nuru was talking about the new Jackbox game, which we can stream on Twitch.
Yeah, that was
I saw that, it's like, oh, it's a game we can stream on Twitch.
uh-huh.
Because
There's reasons, yeah. Which is interesting because they're so integrated in Twitch. Jackbox, the company.
I mean, those are very popular games to stream, especially if you already have a bit of a following. It's like,
Yeah.
ooh, these famous people that I like to see them play video games are playing a video game together. Yes.
I guess we'll just have to play them at our LGC parties and our IRL parties. We won't be able to stream them.
What, just like one game out of the party pack?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a parody site? Oh, damn.
Yeah, you need to put disclaimers on things, Arthur.
I was like, oh, okay, all right. Could have been a thing, absolutely. It's the Jackbox Party Pack people. I believe they would do it.
Yeah. Well, they must have found it's the most drawn object during, in their games.
Come
including
on,
here at
we're all
LGC.
12. We're all 12. We're given a drawing tablet. It's like, oh, what are we going to draw? It's like, oh, I know.
Yeah.
On the Friday night
They're
foo bar,
done.
it's been drawn quite a bit.
Well, that's always the fun thing, man. You get the non-originals like, I'm going to be edgy. I'm like, oh, sweet. Oh, all right.
Yeah, everyone's done it.
When you start being edgy and you realize that you're only the last person to be edgy.
Well, then you have the 40-year-old edgelords. Those are the best.
Oh, let's see. There's Strider.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, like as you're walking out from work and you see your co-worker's car and it's a bit dusty, and you draw one on their windshield.
Yeah.
If you do that and you don't sign it, you're a punk.
See, at work, I don't need to sign it because both Dave and Nathan know that it was me.
Yeah.
And Nathan usually goes a bit further away and he uses the label printer. And he prints like someone's like, and then goes to the person's car. It's like either on the license plate or on the handle.
The only thing I did with the label makers, it was old school too. It's like click, 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 you know, we're just pressed in. I made a bunch of mine labels.
But who is mine?
This is mine. I just put
Oh,
it
okay.
Mine.
Mine.
Nathan at one point got blacklisted from using the label maker because he started printing the really obvious labels. It's like locker, cupboard, monitor,
Oh, yeah.
mouse, and started sticking them around on people's desks.
I still have my old school one from the 70s and it still works good. And it's not plastic, the ones today.
All right.
Catalytics.
Yeah,
What you talking about?
interweave. I like this. I like hearing about this. Kai Linux. Good scoots.
Playing coy, are we?
All right. I think that's everything I got to do an edit.
I do not envy you, just have a good one.
Oh, Justin, I've been there. Literally cataloging hundreds and hundreds of floppies. God. Yeah, my first animations as a student in the 80s, I'd literally have several hundred floppies per project. It was hell. I had to carry that stuff around in my backpack. And you always had to have duplicate floppies because they inevitably die, especially with multimedia and when you're saving movie files onto them, they die quickly. So you always had to have at least 3 backups. And there were times literally where I had to go back to my 3rd backup because the first 2 would get corrupt. It was horrific.
Yeah.
Those were the days. I mean, I literally was carrying thousands of floppy disks with me to college. And then finally the zip disk came out and SideQuest discs and CDs. God. And then I was carrying
very,
big
very
things as CDs.
I was very, very happy to have a teeny tiny little USB drive. It was my first one that had any kind of data, 32 megabytes.
Yeah, 32,
it's
cool.
like, oh, I could fit like 30 floppies in this thing.
I know, that was so awesome. Yeah, I found it was a really nice, literally a floppy disk cataloging program for DOS. So it would automate, when you put the disk in, it automatically make the little directory. So I didn't have to make a directory for each disk, and then I could burn it to, CD. And I was just, oh my God. So I went from floppies to SideQuest, and then I had some zips too, quite a few zip drives, and then but from that directly to CDs. So grateful. My brother had given me his original CD bomb. We called them CD bomb burners. It's 1X, and it was like several $1,000 burner at the time, and I still have it, and it still works. It's SCSI, and it still works.
I had an external CD burner at first.
Yeah,
It was
that's
an
what
HP.
that one is.
It recorded regular writable CDs, write once
And RAMs
at 2x, and rewritables at 1x, and it could read CDs at 4x.
Yeah.
And the most use it ever got was to read a specific music CD that was very picky that my mom liked to listen to, and you could only listen to it at 4x. If you put it in any other drive that was like 16x or 52x, so that's what that at the time I think it was like 600 euros that my parents paid for that
expensive.
thing.
Oh man, you got these newfangled kids talking about their CDs and their floppies,
Yeah,
and 1.44 megabyte floppies. Oh, you kids!
I still have that
I dealt
external
with the
burner.
real stuff, man. I had SCSI 44 meg SideQuest drives.
I still have
Nice.
mine.
Wasn't dragging around 1,000 floppy disks.
Well, I had to do the floppy
Just the
before
SCSI drive
SideQuest.
and the discs.
But then, then I carried around my SideQuest discs, which are wonderful. I had the big ones and the
that's
small
why I
ones.
carried this around now. DVD burner.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that might actually be useful if I need to rip something or record something for someone that needs a DVD. Yeah.
I don't associate with people like that.
That's why it's in the drawer and not out on the desk.
Yeah, Vin, do you still have your 44 meg one?
No, we used 44s out in university because it was old, ancient, antiquated, archaic equipment. And I was like, oh, what are these
Oh, look, a
things?
3.5-inch hard drive.
Why would I have something I don't use, Jill?
Okay. You like me a hoarder.
You're asking the wrong person that, Ben.
Yeah, but literally I used to send those to the studios. Fill them up and send them to the studios and have a big stack of them.
Oh, and a spare 18650 battery.
Ah. Yeah, SideQuests were wonderful because they were little SCSI hard drives, little Brunelli SCSI hard drives, and they were when zips came out. Of course, SideQuest were much more reliable as well as being, of course, 10 times faster.
Oh, it was a.
You could actually boot Linux off of them.
The 8-bit guy, he did the episode about like the slightly more obscure physical media formats. I had seen one of those big Sony cassettes.
Oh yeah, those are
not
cool.
an actual working one, but my grandfather and my grandma used to have it on their small electronic appliance store. They had a like a cardboard cutout of it.
Oh,
like,
okay.
Oh!
Yeah. We actually had
Yeah,
those
that's
in
the
our
one.
studio, one of our TV studios in college.
Parallel port
They're
size
cool.
quest?
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
have
so.
all of them. I had parallel port, external, IDE, and SCSI internal, and then I also have IDE external. Yeah, so I had 4 different kinds. Same with zips. I had different variations. Actually, I still have them.
Well, it's a good thing we don't live in such dark times anymore.
I know. Oh my god.
Right. I got some editing to go do.
Okay.
Any famous last words?
Yeah, I was looking into Floof's question, and yeah, there was a utility that let you do that.
Oh yeah. Actually, the parallel port SideQuest drives were actually, believe it or not, still faster than a lot of the internal zip drives. So that was the first one I bought. The first one I could afford. When they came out with the 135 meg size, I had the 44 SCSI, but then the 135s came out, and I couldn't afford to get the internal SCSI or IDE with that, but I bought those later. You could also Slackware you could boot from a zip drive, zip slack. So, and it was slow, but it worked. So yeah,
All right, beautiful
really
people.
cool.
We gotta
Floof.
get out of here.
Bye.
Awesome.